Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Now before we get to our actual patient, let me show you this. This is a museum piece at this point. This is P5 PE-VM motherboard. As you can see, nice and tiny. I don't know what kind of socket this is. It is busted socket. That's why it's here. Look at the IOs. We got keyboard and the mouse. We got parallel port and a COM port or a series port, VGA, some USBs. We have a network adapter and the sound. Now on the board we obviously have in IDE to the primary and the secondary. Remember those? Each can hold two devices, and one is in master mode, the other one is in slave mode, and you would use the little jumpers to set it on the device. And we also have two SATAs and in the floppy drive connector. You can connect type A and type B floppy, or the 5-inch or 3-inch. And for graphics, we have an advanced accelerated graphics board, or AGP. Now, what is the purpose of fixing a board like this? Actually, back in the day, I sold a lot of these boards. We would get them from Austria, like old, basically broken computers. Although they would work, there was nothing wrong with them. But now we would get them from the recycling company. So we would get that as a trash, then disassemble it, and you sell the case separately, you sell the board separately, and all the pieces that were there, like some what was it, a SCSI adapter or some other stuff, and we would make a little bit of money on it. But the boards, especially P3BF, were the boards that were selling really well, because that was the time when it was shortly after Poland entered European Union, and there was a lot of investments. Obviously, right? We were net payers, so we would get money from European Union. I don't know if that's still going on, or are we paying the money now? I don't know. Doesn't matter. So a lot of internet companies or internet service providers would pop up on the market to deliver internet, especially to the areas like the smaller towns, villages, that kind of stuff. And they would use the radio antennas to deliver internet to like some major spot in the village, maybe on top of the church or school. You'd have big equipment and antennas and stuff, and that was the main pipe that would deliver the internet. And then through smaller antennas, you would put on the houses around that particular point to point to that, to antennas that would face 4 directions on the building, and that's how you would sell the internet. But to achieve that, you need some professional equipment to actually handle all that traffic, to direct it, to manage the traffic, who paid the bill, who didn't pay the bill, and all that kind of stuff, right? So you could either buy a very expensive equipment dedicated to that, or buy P3BF board, which comes with all the IOs that you need for that. Install some dedicated Linux distribution, and you have yourself a very professional router that you can use for distributing internet. So that's what these boards were used for. This one, actually, I did not know that, and because I didn't do things like that back in the day. But look at this socket or this bracket that holds the CPU is not screwed onto the board like there are nowadays, so that you can just remove it and then remove the socket. It looks like the socket itself is holding this piece. It even moves a little bit. There are no screws anywhere in the back, right? So the socket is holding this. So it's the solder that holds this whole metal bracket. That is interesting. For that reason, I don't even know what kind of socket this is, but basically I will probably just remove this socket just to see how this is installed. But then how do you align the socket along with this bracket? It's crazy. I think, I don't know, probably you would maybe glue it on first, then place the socket, align it, and or maybe that helps with the alignment. I don't know, but as you can see, the outline for the bracket, see, it would be extremely difficult to actually align this. See, it's not following the lines somewhere, like at the bottom. It goes over. It goes over at the top as well. Yeah, crazy. I don't know. But I will try. This is actually the board that the customer just said, well, if you want to replace the socket on it, do. If not, just toss it or keep it. And for now, I will definitely keep it as a museum piece, basically. Since I've seen a lot of these boards, and back in the day, it kind of sparks memories. Alright, so this is not our patient today though. Instead, our patient is also pretty unusual because this is Asus Prime Z390P, right? You can get schematics, well, maybe not schematics, but you can get board views. You can find them. Maybe schematics too. This is a board that you can purchase new from China for roughly $90. You can get it used for around $100 on eBay. So what would be the purpose of replacing the socket on this one? Well, it's a free service, right? So I'm glad people are taking advantage of it and sending the boards that it would otherwise make no sense to replace the socket. You gotta charge, I'm thinking at least $150 for the replacement, if not more. So that exceeds the value of this board. It's better to just get the board new. But this is actually a really good budget piece, even if you want to make some basic gaming rig. For two reasons. First, we have I think DDR4. These aren't DDR3. It doesn't say. I'm pretty sure this is DDR4. You can put 4 sticks, right? You have full PCI Express. You have plenty of SATA. 1, 2, 3 SSDs that you can install. The 4-pin connector for vCore and LGA1151 socket, which allows you to put in some relatively good CPU, like i5. I'm not sure about i7, but you can put some good i5 in it. And the heart of the gaming rig is obviously GPU, and this can pull relatively serious GPU. GPU has separate power connector, so the board doesn't really matter in that regard, at least. So for $100 plus another 100, maybe 150 for GPU plus memory plus CPU, under $500, you can build a good enough gaming device, which will allow you to at least pull 35 FPS on pretty much any game, as long as you adjust the quality of the quality of the graphics on it. Because obviously it also depends on what kind of GPU you use. But sometimes the game also requires a solid CPU, because it's CPU intensive on top of being GPU intensive. Now, what do you call it? The heat sinks are not removed from this one, but these are the little plastic pegs that hold the heat sinks. So in this case, obviously if you leave them on, they're gonna melt and the heat sinks are gonna pop off, right? And the reason I'm mentioning that is that I've seen a video from some creator small channel. I assume it's a small repair shop, or maybe it's a big repair shop, and they just, you know, from time to time released a video where the guy replaced the socket. It looked like 1200 socket, maybe 1151, maybe, yeah, it wasn't 1700 for sure. Yeah, but the socket with the window. And he used a header, and I'm saying he, I don't know if it was he or she, but they used a header, and what I noticed that was curious is that they did not remove the heat sinks, and this was one of those boards that has huge heat sinks. And I know that can be done. I've done it myself. You can find my videos where I replaced the socket without removing the heat sinks. But he didn't even put the aluminum foil or anything like that. Instead, he would take those SSD heat sinks and just place it around the CPU, right? And we don't know if it worked or not because that wasn't shown. But it looked good. Visually, it looked perfect. But my point is that in case of this board, if you don't remove the heat sinks, they will melt, or the pegs will melt. But in other cases, you do. I actually left a comment on that video asking what the bed temperature was. I didn't get a reply, so that's too bad. But if you use, say, 180 degrees for the bed temperature, so the board is heated up to 180 degrees, that's going to deteriorate the pads on the heat sinks, or between the heat sinks and the element that, or the component that it's supposed to be keeping cool. So that's definitely not good. So, you know, we can. Some people also say that it affects the quality of soldering because the board loses too much heat too quickly. That probably is a factor to the extent. You know, I always thought that, you know, the heatsink, the main purpose of the heatsink is to release the temperature as quickly as it can. Grab it from the board and release it into the air. So it should affect the temperature for sure. But I always thought, like, you know, if the heatsink is heated up to 180 degrees, then, you know, how much of that temperature can it possibly remove? Typically, it's the component that is heating up on the board, and the heatsink just grabs that temperature. But when you preheat the whole board, then you heat the heatsink as well. So I always thought that, no, that's probably not a huge factor as far as the, you know, temperature. But as I said before, we might disagree on the reasons why we should remove heat sinks, but we should agree that the heat sinks should be removed. No matter what reasons you have, there are plenty of reasons to remove the heat sinks. I wonder, maybe I will get a reply from the guy, and maybe he heats up the board to, you know, 220 degrees. It's not unheard of. I've been advised to definitely increase my bed temperature, and it does produce better results for sure. The battery is fine, not new, but it's perfectly good. So we're gonna leave the battery in. Not for the process. That's also one thing that you guys commented, that I left the battery in some boards. Yeah, because I just forgot to remove it. It's not like I'm gonna you know, argue for leaving the battery. Now let's see what the socket looks like, because we did receive a CPU with it. Let's see what kind of CPU is it. This is Celeron. Okay, G4900. Okay, well, I was thinking maybe it's some kind of i5, but no. And what is this? That's weird. The sticker goes through the cap. I've never seen that before. And There is something here. That is a sign of liquid damage to me. And it might actually even be a salt water damage. See this? This looks like liquid damage. It doesn't have to be, but that's what it looks like, at least right now. So we'll see. This CPU might be dead as well. But let's see the socket. Yeah, some pins missing, some pins twisted. Very much so. Okay, well, this is 1151. It's an easy one. Let's see the outline. Outline is not the best, but I've seen a lot worse. Alright, let's bring this board back to life. Remove all the components from it. Replace the socket. And ship it back. Now, if you're interested in a free repair like this, hit me up on either on Discord or just submit a ticket. I'll send you the address. Send the board in. Act fast because I'm getting a lot of these lately. By a lot, I mean I get some. So soon the offer will expire and I will no longer be providing free replacements. So if you have some, even the board like this, technically it would not be worth doing this, but since it costs you only the shipping and like $10 for the socket, so maybe $30 in total for the whole repair, why not, right? All right, let's get to it. Alrighty, it's done. Pretty much textbook. Nothing too exciting about it. The one thing that obviously something has to go wrong in every one of these jobs. What went wrong is my thermocouple detached and it fell down along with the device. It's not really needed, so I didn't cry about that. The actual thermocouple that does matter held pretty nicely. I put 2 sticks of a Captain tape to hold it down. Now the only thing I'm still not too happy with is the cleaning results. It's not bad. It's better than no cleaning, that's for sure. The majority or the pins are clean. The flux went off the pins, but inside the socket, as you can see, there's still a little bit of gunk. And what I use is primarily isopropyl alcohol in the ultrasonic cleaner in about half an hour, maybe 45 minutes tops. To clean it, the liquid reaches the temperature of like 45, even higher temperatures, close to 50 even. And at that point, I stop. I don't let it heat up more than 50 degrees, because after all, it is alcohol. It could create an explosion or something, or at least fire or something like that. If you guys have any suggestions regarding what liquid to use in the ultrasonic cleaner, drop it in the comment. I did receive some suggestions on Discord. I haven't really do anything towards that, because I figured, isopropyl it's expensive to put 30 liters of alcohol in the ultrasonic cleaner, that's for sure. It's like $100 of liquid that you gotta put in the machine, and you gotta replace it after maybe 20-30 boards, depending on the how much dirt and stuff is on it. But I'm not happy with the results. I was thinking that would be better than some kind of cleaner or something, but I guess I need to switch to some kind of cleaner, something a little bit more aggressive. So if you guys have any suggestions, drop it in, and I will report my results once I test it. And that is pretty much it. That is the resoldered socket. Where's the cap? Right here. And I think it goes this way, like so. And the socket is solid on all 4 corners. Everything seems good. I didn't see it drop. I don't know if I haven't reviewed the footage yet, but if you review the footage, see if you can spot when it dropped, because I could not, and I was staring at it but it's just a couple seconds. If you miss that couple seconds, then you're not gonna see it. But some sockets you can tell clearly when it dropped, even if you don't see the act of dropping, you can see that it dropped. And I was looking at this one, and I didn't see the clear indication that it has dropped, so I'm not sure about that. Also, one last thing regarding deformation, because I keep telling you guys that it's gotta deform because it's physics. The metal is gonna deform, and there are equations you can use to calculate how much it will expand per degree. So that has to happen, but ever since I increased the bed temperature, I don't see that deformation that I saw before. Although these are different boards, and as I keep saying, every board is different, so you're gonna have different results. You're gonna have different observations on them. But for some reason now it's 2 boards that I did not notice clear deformation, meaning the socket just kind of moving slowly down when it heats up and then returning to its position when it cools down. I don't know, is it the bed temperature that now it's more uniformly heated, and that temperature difference is lower, and maybe that's the reason? I'm not sure, but maybe that is that was advised. I was advised about that it definitely has to be, the bed temperature has to be higher, and so far it seems to be doing the trick. So I don't know. I'm happy with the results I get right now. I'm thinking, because who was it? Bob asked in the comments, what's my success rate? I don't know yet. Those like 5 or 6 boards that I had before, I sent them back to my business partner that sent them to me. I haven't heard back. I haven't heard back from that local job that I did here in Atlanta. And these two, well, one is going to be shipped today, and this one probably will ship on Monday. Plus, I don't know, few other boards. I have one more board over here with 1200 socket. I don't have the CPU to test it, and it wouldn't fit in the box. That also belongs to the same person that sent me like those 5-6 other boards. I did destroy quite a few of them. So initially my success rate was close to 0 or at 0. So I don't calculate it holistically from the very start, because obviously at first I had 0 success, and now I want to start counting it not even from the whole batch that I had before, those 6 boards or whatever, because some of them I still did on the hot air and homemade nozzle, and then I switched to this nozzle, right? And it's too small. I mean, it's good for 1151, but maybe for 1200, but for AM5 it's too small. And this is 40 times 40 if I remember correctly, and it needs to be 45 times 45. It needs to be like 55 times 55 for AM5 sockets, or at least 50, maybe 51, to actually cover the whole socket. So one of the boards that I did like some time ago, also with hot air, and the socket seemed solid, but I just pulled it a little stronger, and I pulled I don't know, maybe 10-20 pads, maybe not 20, maybe fewer, but these were the only pads that actually soldered on. Inside the socket nothing was soldered, but that was with hot air. I was still testing a lot of stuff. Now I'm getting to the point where my numbers seem solid, because I can reproduce it every time, pretty much every time. There are different boards like that one for the local customer that didn't want to release until like 240, 245. I actually brought this one to 240 just in case, and this is actually something that I recently learned from the comment. The sockets that say lots, whatever, those are the ones that have a lead solder on it. All of these are tin solder, so lead free. So 235 at least, and in some cases maybe 245, but it only gives us that 10-degree range that we have to worry about. So and with the proper preheating, proper bed temperature, it seems to be working just fine. And so far, for the past, I don't know, 8 boards maybe, I haven't had any issues like with melting or stuff like that. Well, other than the other issues, right? Like moved capacitor in the last one, or that kind of stuff, or the thermocouple detaching from the board. There are some issues here and there still, but I'm gaining proficiency. I'm thinking, as I said in the comment in the response to the question, I'm thinking of going live with this repair in February. So I'm gonna give it one last month to gain as much proficiency as I can, offering free repairs, and then I'm gonna start charging for it, and we'll see if that's viable business. Alrighty, thank you fellas very much for watching. I do appreciate you, and I shall see you in the next one.